All right, welcome. Time to call the Planning Commission meeting to order. Welcome to the January 27th meeting. The first thing on our agenda is the approval of minutes of the Planning Commission meeting from December 9th, 2019. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. The next thing on the agenda is an opportunity for residents, citizens, interested people to address the commission on items that are not on the agenda. Anyone here for that? All right. Moving on. Thank you then. So let's now approve the agenda. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? It's a very full agenda. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. The agenda is approved. For other business, we need to consider a motion to reschedule the February and March Planning Commission meetings to February 26th and March 30th, 2020. Staff?
Sure. So Tuesday, February 25th is the date of the 2020 precinct caucuses, and state statute forbids the city council from holding its regularly scheduled city council meeting that evening. The city council elected to reschedule its meeting to Monday, February 24th, thus requiring the Planning Commission to reschedule their regular meeting for that night. While not prohibited by law, staff doesn't recommend holding the Planning Commission meeting at the same time as the council meeting, given the fact that interested parties may want to attend both. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission reschedule the February meeting to 2 days later than when it was originally planned, to Wednesday, February 26th. Regarding the March meeting, as Melissa has mentioned at a few previous Planning Commission meetings, the cities of Richfield and Bloomington were selected for participation in the Congress for New Urbanism's 2020 Legacy Project program. This week-long workshop associated with the project is scheduled for March 23rd through 27th. And just for further detail, so that legacy program is regarding the planning for the Portland Avenue and 494 area, along with the city of Bloomington. So that week-long workshop is scheduled for March 23 through 27, with public events on Monday evening and Thursday evening. In order to avoid a conflict with this exciting event and to allow planning commissioners and staff the ability to participate, we're recommending rescheduling the March 23rd Planning Commission meeting to just bump back 1 week later to March 30th, because we do have that fifth Monday available in March.
All right, thank you. Would anybody like to make a motion to reschedule the February and March Planning Commission meetings?
And Chair Hoberg, members of the commission, I know Commissioner Rudolph, I think, had some concerns with the March rescheduling, so perhaps we want to just split that motion. The best course of action might be to just split that motion in half. It doesn't sound like there's any questions or concerns with February, to just handle that one and then move on to discussion of the March meeting.
Great. Would somebody like to make a motion to reschedule the February meeting?
I move that we reschedule the February Planning Commission meeting to February 26th.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that passes. We will be rescheduling the February meeting to February 26th. So it sounds like the next motion to consider regarding moving the March meeting, there's some concerns?
There are some concerns that is during Richfield school spring break, and I think some of us members may have conflicts during that time that usually may go out of town, take advantage of our kids being off school for a break. And do we know yet if we're going to be having a March meeting yet? Or maybe we even
Uh, we-
table this till
We
February?
don't know. So there will be a February meeting. We know that for certain because the next item on this agenda is to continue an item to February, and also the Planning Commission generally does its annual organizational business at the February meeting. So if the Planning Commission does not, I guess, opt to select an alternate date tonight, we could punt on rescheduling the March meeting until the following meeting. But if there's any discussion of, I suppose before making that decision to put off making a decision, maybe there's some more discussion that you want to have about it.
Go ahead.
I mean, if we punt it till next meeting, would we have a better idea of, the only concern I have is if we would hold up anything that would be on the docket that would need planning commission consideration. But I mean, we would probably have a better idea a month from now, I would think.
Commissioner Levin, members of the commission, that is true. Planning commission land use applications are due 4 weeks prior to a planning commission meeting. So we do typically, depending on how the calendar falls, we often do know if there are going to be public hearing items or not on the following meeting. So of course, for March, we don't know yet because there's still a full, a full 4 or 5 weeks from tonight for an application to be submitted. But we would likely know by the time that the February meeting occurs. That said, just to throw out some discussion points. One of the other discussed alternatives for rescheduling the March meeting was to move it 2 weeks earlier in the cycle. That would put it on Monday, March 9th. The reason we didn't default to that, as we often do when a meeting falls on a holiday, like it does every December, was that shortens the application period for the applicant, kind of leaving a 6-week gap between that and the next planning commission meeting. So that's where we landed on February 30th. I'm sorry, on March 30th being the most acceptable date.
Madam Chair,
Sean?
is there a conflict on that Wednesday, given that we're doing February on Wednesday? It says that there are evening events on Monday and Thursday of that week.
That Congress for New Urbanism event does go through the week. Based on this description here, it sounds like there are public events on Monday and Thursday. This doesn't specifically say that there is something on Wednesday night, and I looked on the city's meeting calendar. It doesn't appear that there's a conflict with, that would be Wednesday, March 25th. So I guess one option too could be for the Planning Commission to reschedule. If the Planning Commission so chooses to reschedule it to the 25th, you could readdress that next month if that doesn't work.
I would just say my preference would be to get something on the calendar, since whether we have it or not, Commissioner Rudolph's conflict is known. So I would say we pick a date even if we don't have to use it.
I think the 25th would work, be a good compromise.
The 25th,
Wednesday.
the Wednesday? All right, would anybody like to make a motion for that?
I motion to approve the rescheduling of the March Planning Commission meeting to Wednesday, March 25th. Wednesday, right? Yes.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, it looks like the meeting is now scheduled to Wednesday, March 25th. Great, thank you. The next up on our agenda is we will not be having a public hearing, and we will be continuing it, or voting to continue to consider amendments to City Code Sections 500 and 514 related to platting, subdivision regulations, and minimum lot area, respectively, to February 26th, 2020.
So community development staff have been working to update the city's planning and subdivision regulations found in City Code Section 500, replacing very outdated and redundant language with a streamlined version of the ordinance. The proposed amendment to Section 514 would bring minimum lot area requirements for single-family residential development into conformance with the comprehensive plan. In anticipation of bringing forward an amendment this month, Notice of a public hearing was published in the Sun Current. At this time, refinement of the ordinance language is still underway, and that work should be complete prior to the February 26th meeting.
Quick question to that. I know it's that you just said that you're still working on it. Is there a way that we could get that like prior to the Friday before the meeting? Because I know that that has been a concern of some of the commissioners in the past, that some of the language and with regards to bringing everything in compliance with the comp plan, like we haven't had enough time to think about it.
Sure. And yes, it's likely that a draft will be ready. So we usually get those packets out to you Thursday morning, prior to the meeting. But in this case, the final draft language of the ordinance should be ready at least a few days in advance of that. So if possible, we'll try to get that to you a few days earlier.
Does that work, Commissioner Lavin? I know you've brought that up. Okay, great. Okay, great. Thank you. Would anybody like to make a motion to continue the public hearing?
I motion to continue a public hearing to consider the amendments to the city code sections 500 and 514 to the February 26th meeting.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just had a question, Fairmat. When you put a public announcement in the paper and then it doesn't happen, how is the public informed?
So anyone, since it was published, and this one's a little different than a typical land use application, because with those, we send out postcards to the nearby properties as well. With this one being an ordinance, there's no postcards involved. But in any case, since it was published, if anyone was interested or had questions or concerns about it, they would typically reach out to staff, or they would be here tonight, and that's how they would know that consideration has been moved back to the next meeting.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it looks like that we have continued the hearing to February 26, 2020. Next up on the agenda is liaison reports, the Community Services Advisory Commission. Brian, do you have your microphone on?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They are looking at construction for the dock that crosses the lake there, and that'll be starting up pretty quick if it hasn't. I haven't seen anything, not doing anything in the winter. So, and then Karen, the nature center manager, Karen Schrag, she's retiring, and so they're looking for a replacement there. So it'd be sad to see her go because I've known her for quite a long time there. So. And the Sustainability Commission is being formed, and I believe we saw quite a few applicants for that. And so that'll be nice to see who actually is going to serve on that. And what else do I have here? Bids, as of this November meeting, the bids were received for organized collection of organic composting. I haven't heard anything else on that. I don't know if anybody else has further news on that, but it'd be nice if we could fill that in, because I'm curious myself. And that's about what I have for my update.
All right, thank you. City Council. Thank you. Housing and Redevelopment Authority.
Yes. They did a few things, but one thing is they added a open forum to their meeting like we have, which I think is a nice idea, so the public can come and talk about things not on the agenda. But one thing that's relevant to the Planning Commission, I think, is we had that work session in March about the Henley 2. So the HRA approved the preliminary development agreement with North Bay for Henley 2. And they're now saying they will likely need some public financing, which would probably be in the form of TIF. So that's new since probably our work session. And also that 22-unit efficiency building now may or may not be saved. So that was, I know some of us really want that, and I don't mean to say it won't be, but when we were at the work session, they said they weren't going to, they were going to leave it alone, so now that's up in the air a bit. Anyway, that's what I have.
Great, thank you. School board.
No report.
Okay, thank you. The Transportation Commission.
The main thing they talked about at the January meeting was 494 progress. Again, the project is upcoming in the next few years, so there's access changes, and basically they're just trying to understand what the impact to Richfield residents will be, but likely it's 494 will be safer and faster, but your total travel time from Richfield to where you want to go using it will be longer just because of the reduction in access. Particularly 82nd Street northbound is likely to go away, which they've just now decided, so that will divert some more traffic up and through Richfield onto 76 to get northbound from Bloomington. So they continue to sort of monitor that and have more stuff with that. The other thing is Portland and Crosstown area. There's going to be a conversion of that to 3 lanes and a repaving of it. That's been pushed out to 2021. But they've also figured out some changes to the roundabout, so the Portland roundabout will function more like the Nicollet and Lindale roundabouts.
Great, thank you. Chamber of Commerce. All right, thank you. Next up is the city planners report.
Yeah, so in addition to the Congress for New Urbanism event that we've already discussed, and we'll continue to keep you updated and send you more information on that as it approaches, there is a work session coming up Monday, February 24th at 6 p.m. in the Bartholomew Room. Prior to your next meeting. That work session is to discuss a multifamily development proposal at 7424 Lindale Avenue. That's the property on the west side of Lindale. It looks just like a single family home, but it's been a hair salon type of business. So that property has been acquired, and they'll be bringing in plans for you to look at for the first time. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you. So the next meeting time and location, like Matt just got done saying, is the work session on Monday, February 24th at 6 p.m. in the Bartholomew Room. And then our regular meeting will be Wednesday, February 26th at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. All right, so that is the end of the meeting.
I move that
Somebody
we
like to make a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn?
Any discussion? Oh, second. Any discussion? I almost made it this entire meeting without a mistake, everybody. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.